So I just want to show you briefly how to composite two images together using a layer mask. So I've got my document set up here, 11 by 17 RGB 300 ppi, and I've got an images folder. And if I just right click on these and choose open with Photoshop, they will open in Photoshop. All right, and each one will open in its own separate tab. But what I like to do is I like to just drag these tabs away so that they become floating windows. All right, I've got my original document here, and what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to put a colored background on this. So the way that I found my color for my background is I sampled this blue color from this underground sign. So I just used the eyedropper tool, whoops, and clicked inside of this blue, and then that becomes my foreground color. So I just Command A to select all, go to Edit, Fill, and then choose foreground color, hit OK, Command D to deselect, and there's my color. So to get an image onto my document, what I'm going to do is just find the floating window with the image that I'm looking for, make sure that I'm on the Move tool, and then just click and drag on that image. I'm going to hold the Shift key though. If I hold the Shift key, that will center the image on the document that I'm dragging it onto. And it's not necessary that you hold the Shift key, but you start out in the center that way. You need to size your image. So, I figured this out just by experimenting. So I'm going to kind of quickly, I'm not recreating my whole poster, but I'm going to just sort of quickly show you how to composite two images together. Oh, and also I forgot to mention that when you drag an image onto your document, it does come in as its own layer. So it's a good idea to rename your layers. So this one I'll rename the London Eye. And then the next image, I'm going to close out this London Eye, and then I'm going to find, here's my guitarist. All right, I'm going to drag that guitarist image into my document. All right, so there's my guitarist. Let's name it guitarist. All right, I'm going to hide my guitarist first, and then with the London Eye, I'm going to just add a layer mask. So I'm going to click on this layer mask icon and make sure that I'm selected on the layer mask. So I know I'm working on the layer mask if it has this little white outline around it. I'm working on the layer itself if it has that white outline around it. So I just want to make sure I click the layer mask, and then I'm going to use the brush tool, and you can make adjustments to the size and hardness of the brush up here, but I think this is about what I'd like. I can also adjust the size of the brush by choosing the bracket keys. So the right bracket key makes it larger, the left bracket key on the keyboard makes it smaller. And I'm working with a soft brush so that it blends in, and I want some of this background to show, this blue background. All right, so again, that's fairly rough, but you get the idea. And then let's turn on this guitarist image, and then select that layer, click on Add Layer Mask, make sure your layer mask is selected, and then go ahead and paint with black. So I'm still on the same brush, I'm still on black. All I need to do is just click and blend that in. And the cool thing about the layer mask is that you can always go back. Like if I feel like I've I've hidden too much of that layer, like maybe I want this guitar to not be sort of transparent, then I would go and switch the foreground color to white, and then with a smaller brush I can go back in and paint back over that guitar, the neck of the guitar, and that looks a little bit better. All right. So you can go back and forth like that. And then you can still go in here and you can still make adjustments to the size and position of these images. And I want to be, let's say I want to be on my guitarist. And see, I can still move that around. So let's just move everything down a bit. So I'm imagining that I'm going to have my London text up above this. All right, and that's really essentially all there is to it, to use the layer mask to blend two images together. You can be as precise or as as kind of rough as you want to be. Now, as far as blend modes or opacity, let's take a look at this third image, which is the image of Tower Bridge. Let's drag that into here. We're going to rename this. And then resize that and place it down at the bottom. So I'm going to apply a layer mask to the Tower Bridge layer. And again, make sure that you're selected on that layer mask. Going back to the brush tool, again, the bracket keys on the keyboard, you can adjust the size of the brush. And what I did is I tried to paint with white, and that didn't do anything because white reveals. So I have to remember to toggle back to black as my foreground color so I can hide some of this background. So I'm blending that. Now the larger the brush and the softer the brush, so when I have hardness at 0, that makes a very soft brush. The larger and softer the brush, the more gradual that blend is going to be. So, if you haven't done this a lot, again, it's just a matter of experimenting and see what you think is going to work. So, to me that looks kind of okay, but I really want this to not be so prominent. I just kind of want to suggest this or have it more of a kind of a faded or blended look into this water. So this is where I might start looking at the opacity and start adjusting the opacity of it. And on my final one, I had the opacity at 43%. And then I'll look at the blend mode. So normal is the default, but I could try multiply, and that's making it a little bit too dark. I could try luminosity, and I don't know, that's not working too well. So what I ended up with is this pin light, which I thought worked out pretty well. Okay, so that's really essentially the way you would go about doing this.